The RBA is set to meet with a mental health body. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee now. This is an article in the Brisbane Times that I was frankly shocked to hear that this would happen. We have to have a look at this. This is Lowe to meet the Reserve Bank Governor, a peak mental health body as rate rises to 3.6% sees stresses skyrocket. The Reserve Bank Governor meeting with a body to help people suffering from mental health issues due to interest rates going up. I didn't expect that to happen, frankly, ever. And that probably shows you how crazy it is. I mean, look at rates. Here we have it. 3.6%, guys. They have certainly skyrocketed. This has never happened in my living memory. Or it probably has happened back when I was a lot younger, in the early 90s. But I was a kid then. How many people are in my situation that only know good times, pretty much? Rates going down. Sure, it went up a little bit at the GFC, but depends on what industry you were in the GFC. I know a lot of architects did it pretty tough. Let's look at this one. Low to meet peak mental health body as rate rises to 3.6% sees stress skyrockets. The Reserve Bank has driven interest rates to an 11-year high of 3.6%. Even as it concedes inflation pressures may be easing and evidence mounts Australians' mental well-being is deteriorating under the weight of ever-increasing mortgage repayments. RBA Governor Philip Lowe will meet with representatives of Suicide Prevention Australia, the peak body that has raised the alarm with a surge in people reporting elevated distress over cost of living pressures and having serious thoughts of suicide over the past year. Now, the only advice I would give to anyone in that situation is to not make a rash decision. What may appear to be a hopeless situation could just be another bump on the road that's the journey of your life. You just need to break things down to a smaller and smaller time frame. If you can't see how you're going to get through the next year, go down to the next month, go down to the next week, go down to the next day, and just keep moving forward. And realize that the potential harm you can do to others if you don't care about yourself. And hopefully you can get help and get through the situation. Because times are tough, but it's owning a house, it's owning material possessions, you can build again. You can start from scratch. It happens. The fact that we're even discussing this is bloody sad, isn't it? Research by Suicide Prevention Australia given to Lowe last week shows 46% of people are reporting high levels of cost of living distress. In the December quarter, it was 41%, so 5% increase. Suicide Prevention Australia Chief Executives Neville Murray and the Reserve Bank and the federal government had to confront the risks associated with high interest rates and inflation. About 1 in 5 Australians are reaching out for help. What? 1 in 5 Australians. It's positive that people are heeding the message, but it's also putting increased pressure on already stretched frontline prevention services, she said. Following its regularly monthly meeting, the RBA lifted the cash rate another quarter percentage point on Tuesday. It was a record 10th consecutive increase in the rates. If commercial banks pass on the rate rise in full, repayments of a $604,000 30-year mortgage will have climbed almost $1,200 a month since May, a cumulative increase in less than a year of 54% for the nation's average home loan. Now, the problem is that looks shocking, but remember, we're coming off really low rates. So hopefully the people that have been sitting on their mortgages for a while, it won't matter. It's going to be the people that bought in during the mania season that are going to get hurt. And if they bought in during the mania at low rates and stretched themselves to the max, well, their lifestyle is going to change dramatically. We went to a friend's place for dinner, and one thing they're doing to earn extra money is renting out rooms to students. That come over billets for 2 weeks from Japan. There were these 2 schoolgirls, and you drive them to school every day, take them back, talk English with them, they play with the kids. I think they were earning $45 a night per student. But you've got to feed them and do all these things. So something to consider. I mean, there are options out there for ways to earn money, particularly if you have a house and you're not insane. So don't feel hopeless. Lowe, in announcing the rate rise, said it appeared inflation had peaked in the December quarter, unemployment was likely to rise, and the economy was on track to grow at below trend rate for the next 2 years. He said the bank was still likely to push up interest rates to ensure inflation fell over the next 2 years. Financial markets, which before the decision had fully priced in a cash rate of 4.1% by mid-year, now have rates peaking at 4%. HSBC chief economist Paul Bloxham said the central bank was getting close to an interest rate pause. He said much would hinge on the next unemployment report due on March 16th, as that might show previous rate rises hitting the jobs market. A central case is the RBA pausing in April, although this depends on the prints bolstering the case that the unemployment rate has troughed and inflation has peaked. A key worry for the RBA has been a lift in wage growth. Remember when they wanted to grow wages, guys? Remember? Oh, boy. Lowe said while wages were picking up, the bank remained alert to a possible price-wage spiral. The indications at present were positive. At the aggregate level, wages growth is still consistent with the inflation target, and recent data suggests a lower risk of a cycle in which prices and wages chase one another. Measures of consumer confidence and well-being have been falling for several months. Fears over housing affordability and unemployment were growing for many Australians, particularly middle-income and middle-aged people. The cost of living, housing affordability, and unemployment are now all ranked higher as suicide risk than social isolation and relationship breakdown. Oh. There's also been a lift in the number of people reporting serious thoughts of suicide, which reached 16%, with sharp increases in New South Wales and Victoria. Deloitte Access Economics head Pradeep Philip said the Reserve Bank's rate actions were increasing the chances of an Australian recession. Given interest rates attack inflation from the demand side, they are not fully effective in fighting inflation being driven by supply-side issues. Yes, you don't think? Unfortunately, the RBA has fewer other tools at its disposal to help fight inflation and has indicated further rate lifts are to come, he said. We need to take a holistic look at ways to tame inflation, which necessitates a greater role for fiscal policy. In the meantime, the RBA should pause rate hikes or it will overshoot and crush the economy. The Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry said the bank should not go through with another rate rise at its April meeting, warning that the business sector was starting to struggle. With too much hidden leverage around, the Reserve Bank must pause at its next meeting and take stock of whether rates are sufficiently restrictive to bring inflation back down to target, Chamber Chief Executive Andrew McKellar said. Treasurer Jim Chalmers said even though the rate rise was expected, it would still sting for many Australians. In a speech on Tuesday evening, Chalmers revealed he would release next week a major productivity commission report into ways to lift the economy, saying it would show there are to be more connections between government and businesses across a larger range of issues. Oh, I mean, there you go, guys. More intervention. It's always worked. Every time throughout history, more government has always been a perfectly and effective thing. Oh, I think a generation are going to learn why Labor only ever gets a couple of shots at the big boy job, and then people vote for the lesser of two evils. The transition to a renewable energy network, the rise of artificial intelligence, digitization will be the driving forces to improving productivity. Look at this bullshit. Complete and utter word salad garbage. Renewable energy is going to increase the costs of everything. Artificial intelligence, what? Is he talking about ChatGPT and these type of things? They're just language models. There's no sentience there. Digitization. Okay, sure. Let's see. Every one of the themes in the report requires a more central, more constructive role for businesses and for investors, he told the Australian Financial Review Business Summit. By and large, over the last decade, you've picked the trends, the threats and opportunities that come with them, well before they were acknowledged or addressed by government. Our success rests in large part on a thriving, profitable, successful, wealth-creating, opportunity-generating private sector. Yes, so get out of the way. Get out of the way of the sector. Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor said government policy was undermining the Reserve Bank's efforts. It's clear the government is not doing enough to make the Reserve Bank's job easier. Australians are now facing a full-blown cost of living crisis, and yet it's the last thing the Prime Minister wants to talk about, he says. Crisis support is available from Lifeline on 131114. If you need help, ring the number to at the very least talk to someone. So guys, let's have a talk about all of this. Sadly, I suspect this is just what happens during tough economic times. Nothing is without consequences. The insane cutting of rates and now the insane increase in rates, it should not be surprising that it's driving some people to the wall. We warned about this back during the lockdowns. Oh well. I don't think people really care. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Check out my other channels, Heise BIM and Heise Does. And if you're a fan and want to support the channel, you can on YouTube or Patreon. Use our referral links, buy our pocket squares, or call us if you need an architect. Take care, everyone. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next episode of HeiseSays. Bye for now.